all these rejections from the middle Bollinger Band.
Resistance we're going to need.
If you actually see here, we get a
And we'll look for a healthy higher
I
low.
would not
don't have
be
the
convinced
bull
to
market
enter a long trade.
Hey everyone, hope you're doing well. Bulls showing up today, so I'm going to do a midday update. Not going to have time for adventure time and all that because I'm trading stocks and going live and doing all that stuff. But we'll take a look at our coin alerts update, the beta testing we have going on for the alert service. But starting off with Bitcoin, we had a beautiful setup this morning because, as we know, equilibrium patterns give us opportunity to go in either direction. Whichever direction the break occurs is where we look to play. So we had our high of the breakout, the low of consolidation, 4-hour lower high, higher low tightening range. And again, check out TradingView. I posted this chart first thing this morning, TradingView, highlighting if we break support, it's a clear bear entry, and then you use the lower high pattern as your stop loss level. And if we get a bull break, it is a clear bull entry, and we use the higher lows as our stop loss level. So a lot of people use stop buy orders on this move to the upside with the break of 64.09, breaking the 4-hour lower highs, and then obviously the bulls showed up in a big way. Some things that I want to point out. Obviously, if you've been watching the last few videos, we've been seeing little signs that the bulls are showing up. The initial amount of bull volume on the spike up, the bulls maintaining healthy consolidation at that point. The most important thing for me was the clear break of the lower highs on the daily. As soon as we broke 63.65, that was a double bottom and a break of the lower highs. That tells me look for a daily trend change, and that's now the move that we are seeing. Keep in mind, we do not have a daily higher low and higher high yet to confirm this move. I do believe that we will form one, but we don't have it yet because this little inside bar is not a higher low. It's still the same move coming off the double bottom. We just had a little stutter step sideways for a day and then continuation. So there's no clear consolidation to establish a daily higher low yet at this point. But obviously the bulls are celebrating. The hourly time frame, look at the volume. So the hourly spike here, and this is on Coinbase, GDAX, 2.76 thousand, and the previous spike up was 2.16 thousand. So that volume compared to this volume is about 25% more this time, and the Bitcoin price was about $500 more. So that tells me there is significantly more dollar volume behind this bull move than there was on the last bull move. Granted, there was another leg up on the last bull move as well with that volume, but if you combine the two candlesticks and look at where we are, 6,500 average compared to perhaps 6,000 average, it is a significant difference in terms of volume continuing to show up for the bulls. So where we stand is the next key resistance for me. Let's get rid of these lines on the shorter term time frames. So the next key resistance is 68.42. If we break that level, that's the next clear lower high on the daily time frame. So at this point, I would not want to be in a short position. Hopefully, if you are short, you have covered at this point. And the weekly time frame, I'm looking for a lower high to form. And just visually, when this bounce started, I visually said about 7,500 would be a target. That's a very rough estimation, but that is where I'm going to be keeping an eye, because if we see this lower high, that is a target that we will be keeping an eye on. So essentially the 4-hour time frame gave the clear signal today, and if you are bullish and entered on a bull break of those lower highs, you can very easily either take your profit or set your stop loss at break even. We have a very clear must hold level for here on out on the 4-hour time frame, 62.59, but also keeping in mind that we will lose the 4-hour higher low pattern when the daily chart does need to form a higher low. So keep that in mind. That's a little bit tricky for newer traders and newer technical analysts to get, but the 4-hour time frame, while the bulls want to hold it as long as possible, it is not a must hold for the daily chart to continue bullish. So key resistance approaching, 4 days in a row for the bulls as far as I'm concerned, with that inside bar on the daily breaking bullish. 64.38 was the signal for that bull break on the daily bar, and nice follow through for the bulls. So we have the RSI on the daily time frame close to hitting the highest point that we've seen in a few weeks. We're watching for the exponential moving averages to become support, and we're watching for the 12 periods across the 26 period to the upside. And again, the last time that happened was back on the April bull move that led to about 4 or 5 weeks of green in a row. So the weekly trend is not going to change. The daily trend is changing. So we're looking for a weekly lower high to be set. That could be set anywhere from here to 9,500. So keep that in mind. We're going to be taking it one day at a time. We're going to continue to monitor volume as long as we see bull volume outweighing the bear volume. That's a great sign for the bulls. And the exponential moving averages, look at these 4-hour exponential moving averages on the 12 period here. We held 7 candlesticks in a row and then exploded to the upside. So significant bull move for the bulls. Congratulations. Low of consolidation at this point, 65.35. But even if we break that level, the hourly chart is due for consolidation. The hourly RSI is still up at 80 at this point. We could easily do one of these fades again, where the last fade that we had lasted a couple days and we pulled back for almost almost a dozen 4-hour candlesticks. We could see the same thing again. As long as we hold the exponential 4-hour supports, the bulls maintain full control. GBTC is the Bitcoin trust traded on the stock exchange. So it has exposure to regular traders and institutions that do not have exposure on Coinbase or other exchanges. One thing I want to point out, the high of Bitcoin today hit at 9:45 a.m. GBTC continued to run 7% more. And again, there's a premium on what people are paying here for Bitcoin, and the premium gets higher the higher the demand is for the Bitcoin. And that's because people, again, want exposure to Bitcoin when it's going up, so they're willing to pay a little bit more. So here was an instance where there was laggard action and continued opportunity in GBTC that was not there in Bitcoin once the move up occurred. So I cannot wait until we have instruments to be able to trade, whether it's ETFs or whatever. Speaking of which, if we ever get ETF news for Bitcoin or Ethereum or whoever it is, that's instantly all-in news for me. Because not only do you get the initial bullish reaction of everybody celebrating and buying in for that reason, you then get the continued bullish action where you have the ETF purchasing these coins and these, whether it's Bitcoin or Ethereum, to back up the dollar volume that's coming in to purchase the ETF. So keep an eye out for that. That's the most bullish short-term news that we could see, in my opinion. That being said, and when that happens, we have a lot of examples with Canadian MJ to be talking about, but that's a little bit further down. Just keep in mind that if you get that news, unless you know the 4-hour RSI is in the 90s, that's an all-in buy. If you can get that, if you can react to that news in the first hour, that's what I'm going to be doing. So GBTC, again, the fact that I can have opportunity to trade on exchanges in cryptocurrency and in the stock world, I can have my money split. I can be trading Canadian MJ and stocks and waiting for things to pick up. And then once the market picks up for crypto, the fact that I can put money in my stock account and the money in my Coinbase account into a position that really magnifies the amount of gains that I can possibly see, where I'm never going to have that much capital on an exchange for crypto alone. So again, opening the doors for these stock exchanges, these stock brokers, to have exposure to these instruments is going to be very significant. And GBTC is really the only way to do it right now. There is one for ETC as well. I haven't been paying much attention to that. But GBTC, that daily chart got extremely oversold. And from the low to the high right now, that is about, 17. It's a significant amount of profit, over 20% in the last 2 days on this bounce. And again, this trend isn't changing anytime soon. It's just an oversold bounce at this point, but still significant profit to be had. Ethereum on the 4-hour time frame, same thing. A break of the lower highs was the bull signal. 453 was essentially a little double top and a significant break to the upside. And again, just opportunity for day traders. If you jump in on that hype and you ride that move, you can flip it in 30 minutes for a solid gain. Otherwise, break-even stop loss or a stop loss when we lose the 4-hour high or low pattern. Personally, I did not enter this bull break on the 4-hour time frame. I still have a Litecoin partial position from the last few days, but I was busy doing stock coverage and trading stocks. So I missed that move, but if I were in a move, I would be having a stop loss at break even, and then I would potentially move it up once we have a clear low of consolidation on the 4-hour time frame. So for Ethereum, next resistance I'm looking up at 473.27. We broke that level, so I'm looking at 481.74 as the next resistance. Anything, we're going to form a higher low on the 4-hour time frame initially. Exponential supports held here as well. They're continuing to catch up. Weekly time frame, bullish reversal candlestick, still very early, still not, we're not convincingly confirming this reversal candlestick, which does tell us that we have further upside potential here as well. Visually, I'd say a weak bounce on this weekly chart would take us to the mid 500s. And that is a weak bounce. A strong bounce on this weekly time frame would take us into the 600s, the low 600s. Same thing for Bitcoin on the weekly chart. It's a fairly weak bounce that would take us to that 7,000 or 7,500 target, a strong bounce would take us up to into the 8,000 range. So we're going to need some kind of catalyst, in my opinion, to have that kind of bull follow through. But if that ETF news comes out, again, I have it could happen tomorrow. It could happen in 3 years for all I know. But when that happens, that will be the bull catalyst to be keeping an eye on. Litecoin, very tight on the 4-hour lower high pattern. The break of 80.47 was a bull break. We had a double top at 84.50 to get over. Bulls got over that resistance. And now we're looking at some resistance levels up in the 87.11, 87.38. But you look at the daily chart, and we're entering an area of a lack of resistance here on Litecoin. Just the exponential moving average is still doing battle with those levels. We are no longer oversold. And the weekly time frame, again, if I were going to look to a weak bounce, I'd say $100 is a target, and a strong bounce would get us up into the 120s. So that's all the bullish scenario because the bulls have been in control the last 3 days. Let's say what could be a bearish scenario. So a bearish scenario would be losing the 4-hour higher low patterns, seeing increased bear volume, FUD news to potentially help with that. But this weekly time frame could be a bear flag. Let's not lose sight of that. It's great that the bulls came out. We were looking for it the last few days. The contrarian mindset that we had, a few days ago, I think that contrarian mindset video was posted at the bottom. But this weekly chart is a bear flag setup right now. So if this move tops out right now and is done, or doesn't get much further into the upper 6,000 range, 6,800s, and we fade back again, this is a weekly bear flag right now. So it's still up to the bulls to prove to us with a daily higher low and higher high, which again has not happened. Once that happens, that will make this bear flag on the weekly a lot less likely. But we have to keep perspective. It is still a bear flag. I don't anticipate it to follow through just because this is the first glimpse of hope that the bulls have seen in 6-7 weeks. But it is still a possibility that we must keep in mind. So that's where we stand in the short term, looking for just healthy 4-hour consolidation overnight tonight, watching these exponential moving average supports to continue to catch up, and watching to see can the bulls turn exponential daily levels into support and start to get those closer to a bull cross. So for the coin alert system, a lot of you have been using the alert system now, and we have a beta testing going on right now, and this is what the new website's going to look like, and we have our own charts, and the alerts are going to be inlaid on these charts. So when you get a abnormal volume alert or a oversold climax alert, there's going to be an arrow or an icon that points out where that happens on the chart. So here was an example from earlier this morning where we had Bitcoin abnormal volume triggered before the breakout. So a lot of people say volume comes before price, and it's very true in many instances. This was an example where the volume started to pick up because we had a very clear bull and bear battle, and the volume was high because they were really duking it out, and the bulls obviously won. But the abnormal volume signal gave a 30 to 45 minute heads up that, something's going on here. Keep an eye on it. And then we had another one trigger when the bull break occurred. And then obviously we got significant follow through. So that one occurred at 63.57, the second alert. And obviously we saw significant follow through, 5% bull move after that alert came out. So again, this website is currently still in beta testing. We have our members and a bunch of beta testers going through it and giving great feedback. So it is not live yet for this new feature, but if you did join, obviously it's just going to get upgraded when it is ready for the general public. Your account will just get upgraded for the new website without any additional funds or anything like that. Here's a Litecoin alert. Actually, this is Ethereum that went out. Again, 15-minute abnormal volume triggered down at 452, and we made the move up into 470s. And we are looking at another abnormal volume alert signaling the start of some consolidation as well. And wrapping it up with Litecoin, we had the abnormal volume alert going out early, just above $80. And then we had the 15-minute price shear go out as a bit of a confirmation. So the abnormal preceded the price, the abnormal volume, and then the price action triggered with the price shear. That went off at 81.70, and then the move went up to just about $86 or so. So significant follow through on the volume alerts. And obviously we have tons of feedback and going to continue adding improvements just visually, as well as, templates that we can have for these alerts, whether you're a day trader or swing trader. Also looking at some benchmarks for shorter term time frames. So if we can have, a Bitcoin alert that lets us know on the 5-minute time frame when action is picking up, that's almost a broader signal for the overall market as a whole. And we actually had a member who had that idea. You don't have to have these short-term time frame alerts on all these coins, which would end up with tens of thousands of alerts a day, where you can have just Bitcoin short-term time frames and then use that signal as a signal to be checking the other names that in the cryptocurrency space are likely seeing some 5-minute short-term action as well. So that's where we stand. Coinalerts.com will be actually, Coinalerts is going to be the new rebrand, but I'll hold off for now until we officially launch. Again, it is in beta, so if you sign up looking for the charts and the inlaid alerts, they're not going to be there just yet, but they will be eventually as we continue moving forward. Appreciate all the feedback from everybody on that. And let's see if these bulls can get this continuation continuing throughout the day. So we'll pick back up on the road trip and the adventures tomorrow. As far as do good things, just found out that I moved near Humane Society. So I'm going to look and see what I can do in terms of playing with dogs and walking them and just hanging out with some animals, which I certainly miss from the farm these days as I have moved onward. I appreciate you all. I hope you have a good rest of your day. Congrats to the bulls. Still not out of the woods. Do not lose sight of the longer term time frames, and also know that we are not anticipating a weekly trend change anytime soon. In order for the trends to change, we need a lower high compared to 10,000 and then a higher low and a higher high to change the weekly trend, in my opinion, unless we got huge news and saw, a big bull volume spike. In my opinion, the biggest news that we can see in this time frame of the next couple months is an ETF. And that will be significant, and I'll make a whole video once that is, closer to reality, or once that is reality, that points out just how significant adding ETFs was to the Canadian MJ space and how easy it was to profit, because these ETFs were buying huge positions, and we knew they would have to be. So as soon as they announce an ETF, we buy the holdings that are going to go into it, and then they continue to go up as the ETF buys after us. Appreciate you watching. Have a great day. See you soon.